Hi, everybody. My name is Wayne Paddick, and I'm the Executive Director for the Cambridge Shelter Corporation down in Cambridge. We are a shelter that provides supports for those who are experiencing homelessness in the region. And we are typically a men's shelter providing shelter beds.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Fleming, and I am one of the clinical leads for Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. So we have Lessard House and Innisfree House, and I spend most of my time here at Lessard, with a large portion of my job bringing people into hospice when it's appropriate and they're ready. So here we were working really hard to reach out to community members and reached out to Wayne and invited Wayne to come in for a meeting, and he came to Lessard House and met with Maria and Jillian and myself to discuss how we might be able to support Wayne and the people that he deals with at Bridges, and what that looks like, and it's just gone on from there.
Yeah, and I think it was about 3 years ago. It was during the pandemic that or at some point, either pre-pandemic or right near the beginning. And I was so excited to be invited to Lessard House to see the space and to figure out how we could join forces in supporting the folks that we serve in shelter and through their transition of homelessness into housing, and how the services that Lessard offers through hospice care, how that could kind of tie in with the work that we're doing. And it's been so exciting over the journey to be able to see how we can support those who are in shelter with education, with options for just being informed about what services are out there. And Lessard has been a great partner that way.
And Wayne is more aware of, like, we're working hard to get rid of any barriers that might be in place for those vulnerable people. And Wayne really helps bridge that gap for us.
I think, again, providing knowledge to those who are in shelter who may not know what supports are out there for them has been a key piece of what we're trying to do with this relationship. And with one gentleman that we had that was in shelter who ended up in hospital and then ended up accessing Lessard House at end of life, it was so wonderful to know that that support was there even for our folks who are experiencing homelessness. It's not something that we have typically thought about until we started having these conversations, was that everybody deserves that dignity at end of life, even those who are experiencing homelessness. And just being able to see him journey from shelter to hospital to Lessard House was just a wonderful, ending and wonderful transition for him.
It was as good as it could be, that particular situation, and that's what we want.
Mm.
And it was ideal, and we want to keep doing more. So there are times when Wayne reaches out and says, might ask a question because he's wanting to pick our brains a little bit, and also letting us be aware of people that we might receive a referral for.
And if I may, the most heartwarming piece of that story was um, the volunteers at Lessard House, how they kind of just wrapped around this gentleman, who,
Yeah.
knowing that he didn't have a lot of family support, knowing that he didn't have any other supports really at all. And the volunteers kind of stepped up their game to the point where they were coming in every day, even on their days
Mhm.
off, to make sure that this person had support and had love around him every single day. That was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And then through this, we've become more familiar,
Yeah.
reach out to each other. We were renewing our beds, so we donated beds. And when we have extra supply of personal hygiene products and things, we bring them to Bridges. But it's just getting to know our neighbors better.
Well, I think going from not even knowing each other or what each other really does, to being able to understand, and as Susan mentioned, they've Lessard has just become an industry, has just become a part of our network now. Where if we're looking for a specific item, or if we're looking for specific information, it's just a quick email to Susan, whereas we didn't have that connection before. And that's probably the most important part of building these relationships and breaking down barriers, is just having that go-to person that you can just connect with, to be able to say, I need to support this person, how can you help me? And sometimes we don't have that. There's time delays in service delivery, there's gaps, there's potholes, there's, by just having that smooth transition, and that, yes, we can help, no, we can't, great, I'm on to the next, or we're moving forward with this relationship. So
And Wayne invited us to Bridges, and so we were very happy to receive that invitation and gave us a tour. And so we're able to see more and understand more about all that they do there and how they support the people who need their services. And that's just always more knowledge and understanding.
mhm. And I think part of my job, since I've started as the executive director, um is sharing the stories and sharing the journeys of the people that are in shelter, because I think there's a lot of misconception, and there's a lot of negative publicity when it comes to people experiencing homelessness. And I don't think our community realizes that our shelter numbers are 40% older adults. And that number is only going to go up as housing prices stay up, and as we say, our baby boomers are aging out. That number is going to continue to grow, and that's a concerning statistic. That having relationships with as many partners as we can to service that older adult population is so important for the work that we're going to be doing in the future.
Because we did have some bit of conversation recognizing, like, and what does that look like in the future, and how
Mhm.
might we be able to be a part of that, helping care of that population.
Yeah.
I just am really happy that we're getting to know Wayne a little bit better and better, and look forward to continuing our work together in the future.
Yeah. And I think, and I'll be honest, like when Susan first reached out, or I think it was you, and said, hey, how can we work together? First I thought, well, how do we work together? But then as things start to evolve, it's like, oh yeah, there's information. Oh yeah. And then when we see it happen with a gentleman, and
Yeah,
there's an example of the patient flow, it's like, the light bulb went on. That's how we're gonna,
yeah.
and I think in the future, I think we've chatted about, arming our folks, because a lot of them don't have a lot of information when it comes to end of life resources, power of attorney, living wills, all these things. A lot of them don't have things in place. So I think that's a big piece, I think, of what we need to work on with those folks. But if we can at least make sure that, they have some of the security pieces in place, that, then they can be at ease with, what the next transition will look like.
And the more people that work with Wayne that understand, who we are and how to access us, then the more conversations that need to take place hopefully will take place in a more timely way.
Yeah. And I think the good thing, when I can talk about Lassard House, having, my partner's mother access the services there a couple years ago now, a couple winters ago. So as a participant, or as somebody who's seen the services firsthand, I can honestly speak to the love and the affection and the care that the clients receive when they're there. So that just comes honestly.